Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you had an awesome Easter weekend. Today's vlog will be focusing on security when it comes to van life, and this vlog is sponsored by Riolink. As a once solo van lifer and travelling on my lonesome time to time still, security in my van was integral to me, from the layout to the gadgets and the apps that I use to reduce the risk of any unfortunate events whilst I'm on the road. I have to admit though, I haven't actually ran into any situations that have made me want to flee my location. I've had 2 police encounters, one in Scotland where they knocked on the van at 2 in the morning, but you're allowed to camp in Scotland, so they were just doing their rounds and checking who was in the area, and also one the other week here in Shropshire, which was actually a really funny encounter because I saw the blue lights flashing and my instincts was to turn off the lights in my van, which they clearly saw. So when they knocked on the van, they said, "We've seen your lights on, you need to answer." So I did. They literally just asked what I was doing there. I said camping, and they just wished me a good evening. I did get a little shaky because I don't know why, I just always feel like when the police are like they're there to tell me off and I've done something wrong even when I haven't. So yeah, that wasn't too bad after all. And then another time I've had someone knock on my van at 6 in the morning. It was when I put my heater on in the winter, so they heard like noises and they just started shouting through the front window asking if I had a fag. I just pulled down my thermal blind a little bit. They couldn't really see me, and when I answered and obviously said no I don't, they realised that I was a female. They were actually a little bit startled. I think they thought it was going to be like a man in a van with his tools and, you know, in the trade industry, which I was not. So he left me alone, but then he came back about 5 minutes later because he was actually concerned for me. He thought I was homeless, and he too was homeless, living in the area, so he was trying to give me advice, and he was actually just giving me tips on where to go and to get showers, to charge my phone and things like that, which was very kind of him. Again, I was a little bit shaken up as well at that point. That was actually Christmas morning in Wales, and yeah, after it's all over you realise that they mean no harm. It's just scary to get someone knocking on your door and shouting through the window for a fag. And then other than that, I've had used ParkUp near me, using my van as like a barrier, so like I guess police can't see them if they enter the car park. But to be honest, they just play good music and they have a good time, and by 11 o'clock they're usually gone, so I'm really not fussed. I've never been in a situation where I've had to flee, and I would never open my doors or windows or anything like that if someone did knock. Not even the police. I didn't wind down my window for them. I just left the little inch gap and spoke through that. I would never open it even if they showed me their badge or anything like that, because, you know, I wouldn't know a police uniform and badge versus one from a costume shop. So if they really want to get hold of me, I'll drive down to the police station with them. I would never answer my door to anyone. No, not at all. Anyway, security is one of the biggest questions I get asked as a once solo female van lifer, usually from people who are looking to start van life or just to understand what other people do. So I thought I'd share with you 12 security tips to make sure you stay safe on the road. This list is not exhausted. It's all based on my personal experience of living on the road for 2 years. So let's crack on. Number 1. Park for Night. This is one of the ultimate apps for any van lifer. It's essentially like a Google Maps where you can find where other people have parked up before, where they've added in locations that they've stayed, and then people who also stay in that location can add reviews on top of that listing. But in regards to security, I find this app essential because when you're looking for park-ups, you can see people's reviews. So sometimes they might say like they really enjoyed it there, or lots of youths gather there, or, you know, they've had their van robbed there, etc., which I haven't come across here in England, to be fair with you, nothing like that. But it's a good way to just kind of scout out the area, especially if you've not been there before. You start to get a sense of what that location is like. My advice though is to take people's reviews with a pinch of salt. Like, everyone's reviews are based on their wants and needs out of van life, so they might not like the fact that there's youths there, but I don't really care, and you might not either, as long as they're gone by 11, because I tend to not go to sleep until midnight anyway, so they don't really cause any harm, and sometimes I just get a boogie on in the van anyway. But yeah, like I said, we don't know their entire story behind it, so do your own research. You can check up on the area probably on Google and things like that as well before you rule that ParkUp out. The only time I've seen like really bad reviews was when I was traveling through Spain, San Sebastian area. All of the ParkUp reviews, like I want to say like 90% of them, and there were lots of ParkUps in that area, all spoke about how their van got robbed. So in the end I decided not to even stop there and to just cut straight through, because I didn't want to take the risk. It would ruin your van life experience and your vancation experience. It's just not worth it just to see one place when you've got the whole world to explore. So number 2, another awesome app, What 3 Words. I think all of you should have this. It's awesome. What it does, it's similar to Google Maps again, but it gives every 1 meter squared a unique name in the form of 3 words. Emergency services already use this app, and the gov.uk website recommend it for travellers too, as you can then share your exact location with them and they will be able to find you much quicker. I really hope it doesn't come to that with your van life travels, but it's always good to be prepared just in case. I have actually used this app before. I rang the police once not too long ago. If you follow me on Instagram, you'd have seen the story, but long story short, I wasn't sure if I got followed into a car park, and also there was a bag in that car park on fire, and there was lots of women's handbags in there, and with recent events in the news I just thought I should let them know. This car that followed me in actually parked next to the bag that was on fire, and I asked him if it was his because he was so close to it, and he said no and just went to sleep in the driver's seat. So I was like, this is really strange, like women's handbags on fire. I've told him there's a fire, he doesn't care, he goes to sleep, he could end up on fire. And it was weird that he like followed me in because I saw him parked further down the road somewhere. So yeah, I called them and they asked for the What 3 Words location, so they're able to locate the car park really easily. So that's why I think you should have it, because you never know when it will come in handy. Number 3, the Reolink security camera. So I get a lot of people suggesting for me to get a security camera on the outside of my van, and I know that may work for some, but for me, my main aim with my van is to be as stealth as possible. That is why I've opted for the Reolink 4G Go PT security camera, which is for indoor, outdoor, day and night use. I place mine on the inside of my van, that way if someone does break in, I will catch them on camera. Busted. I also used this setup in my last van, which came in handy when leaving Onyx inside, as I could check up on him too. I haven't permanently mounted my camera in one place, as I like the idea of it being portable, as I'm constantly parking in different directions as well. So being able to move it and secure it with this strap works for me. The camera is run on 4G via a SIM card, which means you can access the camera from your phone using their app wherever you are. In the unfortunate event someone does break into your van, you will get alerts to your phone where you can head on into the app and use the camera to capture photos, record them, sound an alarm, and even access the mic to speak with them. It's the police! Put your hands in the air! You have full control over your camera, where it pans 355 degrees and tilts 140. This camera is powered by electric and solar and has a long-lasting rechargeable battery. For me, my preferred way of charging my camera is through the solar, which I pop into the cab where it's sunny. If you're interested in a Reolink security camera for your van or home, I have popped the link in the description below where you can check out their full range of cameras. Now, moving on. Number 4, exterior. So I'm not like the most keen on changing what the outside of my van looks like. I'm not saying never, I'm just always a little bit unsure on that topic. So I have just the one window on my side, then obviously the solar, which you can't help. But I like to keep my van incognito. I guess I feel this way because I think that less is more. The more you have on show on the outside, it makes it look more expensive, and then if people know this is a motorhome, I guess they'll think you have some really good valuables inside too, and that is not what I want. My whole life is in here, and I would be distraught if any of it got taken, because it would just be a huge detriment to me and my mental health, and I just don't want to have to go through that. I think your exterior is really important to consider as well before you start your build. You know, do you want to be incognito, or do you want your home to be really pretty on the outside? Do you want more windows so it looks like a motorhome, or do you want pretty decals and things? Do you want your Instagram name on the side of your van? Personally, it's not for me, but however, if you want to apply with the DVLA to get your van, your panel van, changed into a motorhome, these are things you'll have to do, because part of their rules, I don't know them all, but you have to have like 2 windows on the one side, you have to have decals, etc. So this is definitely something, I think, if you're looking to do a van build, to sit down and think about what you actually want out of it. For me, I always pick stealth as well, because 99% of the time I am camping in off-grid areas, so the more hidden I am, the less attraction I get to my van. So before we move on, and I know I've already said it, just make sure you really consider this before you start your build, as the exterior is the first part you really work on. So yeah, if you want to go motorhome, change with the DVLA, you're going to have to do these things, and you are going to look like a motorhome. If you're looking to go off-grid, my advice would be just to stay as low-key as possible. Moving on, number 5. Signal. This one's a really quick one. Basically, try not to park anywhere where you don't have phone signal. Your phone signal connects you to the outside world, to emergency services, to friends and family if you ever need them. So it's always best to reduce the risk and to not park anywhere without signal. However, saying that, I absolutely have. You do sometimes hit ParkUps that do not have signal at all. There was once in the Lake District at Wastwater where I really wanted to park up but didn't have any signal. So I hit the road and I drove for like a further 20 minutes, and this time like the sun had set, it was getting dark, and I still had no signal no matter how far I drove, and I didn't want to just keep going for the hell of it. So I did turn around and went back to the ParkUp that I did want to stay at, and I ended up staying there overnight with no signal. Everything ended up fine. I'm still here, aren't I, guys? But yeah, usually I try to park somewhere with signal. I don't like to take too many risks when it comes to my well-being. Number 6. Wind deflectors. I absolutely love my wind deflectors. Not only do they reduce noise whilst I have my windows fully down, which I do regularly whilst driving to freshen up the space, but also they level up your security setup. The wind deflectors are a good 2 inches and they cover the tops of your window, which means you can have your windows open a good inch without anybody knowing. This comes in handy for when you're out and you want to ventilate the space, or when you're sleeping, because it just means that nobody can like reach through and grab you or anything like that. So it just makes you feel extra safe and reduces any anxieties whilst you're out and sleeping. Number 7. Parking your van. You'd think parking your van was really easy, but it's not. There's actually a lot of things you need to consider, from can you park there? Is the ground flat? Is the ground dry? Would you risk parking there? What about when the sun's out? Do you want your solar panels in a particular position? Do you want your doors south facing? There is really lots of things to consider to be able to pick the perfect place to park. But in my view, at night time when you're parking up, I think the most important thing to consider is which direction you're facing. Really, you want your van to be facing the exit, especially if you're in a small space where you can't really maneuver around. The last thing you'd want is for you to be in an unfortunate circumstance where you're struggling to get out of that ParkUp. You really just want to be able to hop in the front and go. There will be times where you don't want to park facing the exit. For example, you want good views in the day and things like that, but in the day it's typically fine, or you're in a really big car park so it really doesn't matter, or there's other campers around so you feel much more safe. And I'm not saying you have to do all of these things either that I'm giving you tips on. It's just good practice to consider all of them before you do ParkUp, or when you're living in a van and things like that, because the last thing you'd want is to just not be aware of it and then end up in a really unfortunate event. So I hope these tips are really helping you. If you're enjoying it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe and turn on those notifications. But yeah, a little bit of common sense and using your gut instincts, I'm sure you'll find the best way to park up. Number 8. Lock your van. I know I sound like your mom, and there's something my mom would say, but honestly, make sure you've locked it. I've had times where I've thought I've locked it and in the morning I've woke up and it wasn't locked, which is just not good. If you're feeling tired and you're not sure, just get up and lock your van. I actually keep my keys up here, so when I'm in bed I can reach it, and it means that if I am ever in an emergency as well, I can just grab them and go to the front and get out of there. So yeah, make sure you lock your van. I have actually heard stories where people haven't locked their vans and someone's opened their door, but it's never escalated into anything bad. Usually the person opening the door is expecting a treasure trove of builder's tools, and when they see that someone's actually in there, they're shocked and they run away. So, but yeah, lock your van. Number 9, social media. I absolutely love social media. That's why I'm on here. I have built some amazing connections, people that I'd class as friends for life, but at the same time you may not have actually met them, so you do have to be careful. So my tip is never share your exact location on social media on the day. There's just no point risking it. You just don't know. You might have a stalker on there and you share your location and they rock up and you just end up in a really crappy situation. So just wait till the next day and you can share it then. So there are times I've kind of broken my own rule, but that would typically be because I'm only at that ParkUp for the day. Never would I ever share the ParkUp if I'm staying there overnight. You know, once I'm asleep, I'm asleep. I don't want to get disturbed. But yeah, in the day I might put up pictures on my social media, but I won't explicitly say where it is. If someone messages me asking where it is, I may share it with them then if I feel like I know them quite well. Alternatively, I just wait 24 hours and share it once I've gone. So yeah, don't share your exact location on social media until you have left the location. Number 10, escape hatch. I think it's really important that you have some form of access from the cab into your home, vice versa. That could be in the form of a door, a little escape hatch in the bulkhead, or just not having a bulkhead at all and having a curtain. The last thing you'd want is to end up in a situation where you have to actually physically leave your van to be able to get into the front, because you are putting your life at risk, and that's just an absolute big no from me. Number 11, I really didn't know how to do that. I just shouldn't have used my fingers the whole way through, considering I'm going to 12 and I have 10 fingers, but there you go, I made it work. So 11, make sure you have your SOS function activated on your phone. So I have an Android, but I'm sure it's very similar on the iPhone. All you need to do is go to your settings and search SOS. Here you will find the SOS function on your phone. I have mine activated where I have to hit my power button 4 times in a row. This will then use my front and back camera to send out photos of probably my face and the location, I assume. And it also lets you record, but you don't have to hold any of the buttons down. It just does it all automatically. I've then picked who I want these to go to. So I picked my family and Sam, and they will receive a notification to say that I'm in trouble. So I think this is a really good one to have, especially that, you know, it doesn't cost or anything like that. It's already on your phone, so it's definitely worth having just in case you end up in an emergency situation where you need someone's help. Number 12, defense. No, I'm not telling you to go out and buy an AK-47 and a ray gun to defend your fort, but I think it's important that you have some form of defense in your van. I'm sure we all have a kitchen in our van, which means we all have kitchen knives, so just make sure they're always accessible day and night. At night time, when my bed's pulled out fully, I can access mine still because I just literally lift up the foam and my hands, arms fit through the slats and I can pull it out. So I also have whittling knives, which are right behind you, and I have an axe, which I'm pretty good at throwing. So if you come to attack my van, be prepared, there may be an axe through your head. I'm only kidding. But I also have Onyx. A dog is always a good defense or alert, but if you didn't know, I know he looks cute, but he's actually a shapeshifter. So when I ask him to perform protect, he turns into a 3-headed dog called Fluffy. He's really not a force to be reckoned with. So what I'm trying to say is just make sure you have some form of defense if you ever have to take that action, but I'm certain you never will. Like I've said, I've been on the road for 2 years and I've never ran into a situation where I felt like scared for my life and had to flee. So I really hope, fingers crossed, that you never run into that situation too. But also, I hope these tips haven't scared you or put any more fear into you. The whole point is that by following these tips or using these tips in your own way, that your anxiety levels will be brought down when going to stay overnight in your van. Anyway, if you guys have any tips that you'd like to share as well, please let me know in the comments below and help your other van lifers out. And don't forget to check out Rio link in the description description below. Their security cameras are awesome, especially for reducing your anxiety levels whilst you're out and about. I also want to give a huge shout out to my patrons who have stuck with me through COVID, where I haven't been able to travel, so the trinkets haven't been the most exciting, but that will soon change, as of the 12th we're going to be able to get out, which I believe when you're watching this will be tomorrow, so I'm really excited for that. So if you also want to receive trinkets from my travels, make sure to check out my Patreon, and you also get the power to vote on my travels and things I get up to as well. So yeah, if you've enjoyed the vlog, make sure you give me a thumbs up, subscribe and turn on those notifications, and I will catch you on the road soon. Ciao!